We are in the midst of a Pikmin renaissance, because not only is the 4th entry just a few weeks away, but Nintendo shadow dropped the first 2 Pikmin games on Switch, meaning we can now play the entire series on one console. Except for Hey Pikmin. The timing is actually perfect because I was looking to play these games before 4 came out, as I've only ever played the 3rd one. I already had the Wii versions of these games installed on my Wii U, rest in PC shop. But when they were shadow dropped on Switch after that Nintendo Direct, I thought, what the heck, how could I say no to HD visuals and portable play? And naturally, I'm gonna start with the first game, because even though I played some of this on Wii U, I'd never got a chance to finish it, so I'm gonna do it here on Switch. And in case you've never played the first game before, don't worry, I'm gonna keep things spoiler free. I'm not gonna show you what the final mission looks like. Even though this game isn't plot heavy, I'm sure a lot of you would want to experience that for yourself. But if you're simply wondering how good the Switch port of this game is, I'm gonna tell you, it's fine. It's nothing groundbreaking, it's not a Metroid Prime remastered situation. The game basically looks like an upscaled widescreen version of the GameCube game. I guess in that case it would be an upscaled version of the Wii port. But given that this isn't a full priced release, it's only $50 if you buy the two together or $30 separately, I really don't have many complaints on the quality of this port. I didn't ever play it thinking, oh, I wish this looked better. I think the visuals are okay by today's standards, though they were certainly mind-blowing when the GameCube came out, but after seeing how gorgeous Pikmin 4 and even 3 look, I'm obviously not blown away by the first game's graphics. I do think though it's kind of odd how this game incorporates motion controls. It's not offensive by any means, but it is bizarre. I was confused as to why when I hit the motion controls on in the pause menu that they didn't automatically show up in the game. That's because I found out it's only activated if you hold A to begin to throw your Pikmin or hold B to whistle. That's when the gyro on my Pro Controller activated, and for the most part it still works fine. You can still tap A and then aim as you're tapping A when you're throwing the Pikmin. I do wish there was an option to have the motion controls on at all times, but still the motion controls work well despite the way you activate them. And after playing the Pikmin 4 demo, I can see why they did it, because that game handles motion controls in the same way. So it's kind of neat to see how they sort of foreshadowed this control scheme. Even though I would have preferred they stuck with the constant motion controls of Pikmin 3, as well as the Wii versions of Pikmin 1 and 2. But now let's get into Pikmin 1 itself. We're calling it Pikmin 1 because that's what they call it on the Nintendo Switch. I'll admit that's very straightforward. In Pikmin, you play as intrepid explorer Captain Olimar on an intergalactic vacation. His ship, the SS Dolphin, gets hit by a meteor and he crash lands on an unknown planet. He discovers he only has 30 days until his life support system runs out. So within that time, he has to collect all the parts of his ship in order to get back to his home planet of Hoktate? I don't know. Yeah, you're not playing as a human in this game. In fact, it's been theorized that this planet is Earth way into the future after humans have disappeared, and then these creatures have taken over. I don't really think it's a theory as much as it's just straight up confirmed. I mean, look at the stuff you find in later Pikmins, and look at that house in Pikmin 4. This is clearly planet Earth. Also, he can't survive on this planet because it's filled with a poisonous gas called oxygen. Come on. But in order to rebuild his ship, he will enlist the help of these mysterious creatures called Pikmin. He found a red one just chilling in the ground next to a ship he called an onion, and after he pulled it out from the ground, it started creating more Pikmin through these token flower things, and then that just kept creating more Pikmin, and as it goes on through his journey, he finds 2 more kinds of Pikmin, the yellow Pikmin and the blue Pikmin. All of these Pikmin have very special attributes. The red ones are immune to fire, the yellow ones are more lightweight, they can be thrown farther, and they can pick up explosive rocks, and the blue ones, they can survive under water. Having played Pikmin 3 before, I already pretty much got a great handle on how the game controls and how the Pikmin are utilized to not only break down barriers and collect massive ship parts, they can also be used to fight enemies. Yeah, these little creatures are not as cute and friendly as you might think, because if you throw them at any creature that tries to attack you, man oh man, they are just going for the kill. But within those battles, it is possible that they could die and be gone forever, and that's just... I could have saved them. I could have saved them all, but I didn't. I'm a terrible leader. How do I live with myself? So I've always wondered what to call these Pikmin games. What genre are they under? And if you go on Wikipedia, they're called real-time strategy and puzzle games. This is a very unique sort of real-time strategy game, or RTS for short, because while other RTSs place the player in an overseer angle, they're disconnected from the action, they're just ordering their units where to go, Pikmin actually places you in the action as Olimar. You control Olimar, you guide the Pikmin as Olimar, you're just walking around telling the Pikmin where to go and what to do. It's a very unique way to get players into this genre that may just be unfamiliar to them. I know a lot of Nintendo fans back in 2001 were probably unfamiliar with this genre, and it looks like Nintendo found a really unique way to introduce players into this setting. It's very hands-on, it's very interactive, and it's just way easier to manage your Pikmin when you're right next to them. I think what really surprised me about Pikmin though, the first game in particular, is that even though Pikmin 3, which I really enjoyed on Switch, the deluxe version with all of its quality of life improvements, I thought going back to Pikmin 1 would be kind of a slog, because Pikmin 3 introduced a lot of great quality of life features, more specifically the deluxe version with its lock-on feature, with its charge feature. The charge especially just saved a bunch of time instead of having to... There is an alternative to this where you hold L and move the Pikmin with the right stick, but it isn't nearly as satisfying to me as charge. I also didn't know about this feature until after I beat the game, so that kind of sucks how hidden it is. But honestly, I found myself enjoying this game quite a bit. I think it helps that it's very simplistic in nature. You have 30 days to complete the game, there's a 13-minute time limit on each day, and on top of that, there's only 5 levels. Pikmin games already have a low amount of levels, even Pikmin 3, even though they're much larger, but I think it's very interesting that they used sort of a Super Mario 64 approach. Instead of, I don't know, creating a level for each day, Nintendo opted to use only 5 levels with multiple objectives in them, and I think that's just a very special way to do things, because there are multiple ship parts in each level, and unless you're a very, very skilled Pikmin player, you're almost not going to be able to get all of these parts in one day, not even close. These ship parts are well spread out throughout each map, and the maps are quite big. They're not the biggest levels in the world, but when you're trying to get each and every part, man oh man, they sure do feel big. And you get enemy resistance in the way as well. There are these creatures that spit fire that only the red Pikmin can destroy, and of course there's the giant creatures called Bulborbs that'll eat Pikmin for breakfast. And don't even get me started on some of these bosses, man. I especially like this beetle that I guess is steam powered, and you can plug it up with a Pikmin to open its exhaust ports and then throw the Pikmin inside to unleash damage. Man, Nintendo's creativity is just boundless, let me tell you. So if you come across a giant boss like this, yeah, there's definitely a ship part in there. Oh no, it killed all my Pikmin, my goodness. I know I said earlier that losing Pikmin is tragic, but when you get to a certain point, it just becomes an annoyance. I've had to restart some days multiple times just because I kept losing Pikmin, and it was just getting really frustrating. But I really enjoyed the gameplay style that Pikmin offered. In a sense, it is a more simplistic version of the gameplay in Pikmin 3. This time, instead of switching between 3 captains, you're just focused on Olimar and his army of Pikmin, and these ship parts are blockaded by obstacles, whether they be enemies or like literal obstacles, and the more Pikmin you have, the easier it is to get to these parts, especially if you increase their strength through the nectar you'll find within grass, within dig sites. The Pikmin will just suck it up if you take them near it, and then their little sprout above their head will just blossom. That means they are very strong, thus making it way easier to build bridges, bring down blockades, and to even fight enemies. If this is going to be your first time playing this game, definitely increase the amount of Pikmin as much as you can. You can do this by finding those pellets in the flowers, but you can also have Pikmin bring back the corpses of enemies, which will turn them into more Pikmin. And because you're looking for 30 parts in 30 days, naturally you might think, okay, I just need to find 1 part per day and then I'll be good. Well, you might be right, but that final level is a bit of a doozy, so I'd always recommend trying to get multiple parts in one day if you can, in order to make that final day a little less stressful. And also, not every part is required to beat the game. I still recommend getting every part so you see every level. You won't get to the final level until you collect 29 parts, and though the game doesn't explicitly tell you which parts are optional, you can probably infer that by the descriptions of each item, such as a massage machine. I think that's pretty self-explanatory there. And a little thing I really like is that some parts, when they're collected, you can see them visibly being added to the ship, thus making it look more and more complete. I always like that in video games. It gives me a sense of accomplishment. No doubt Olimar's desperate to get back home, although he's not much of a character in this game. You can tell he's mainly just a link between the player and the game, but he does write into his journal after every day. Sometimes he talks about the stuff he's learned, like he's discovered over time that the red Pikmin are immune to fire, which I don't remember being explicitly stated to me in the game, so it's very handy to read these journal entries to find out the stuff that he's discovered on his own. And sometimes he'll talk about his family and how much he misses them. Now, none of this really makes my tears water up or anything, but it's nice to really give him that human connection, even though he's not exactly a human, he's from the planet Hooktate. But even then, he's a person, and he's trying to get home to his family. But if he doesn't collect all the necessary ship parts in time, this is what the Pikmin do to his corpse. What is this, Hereditary? But in the end, despite its simplicity, this game very much feels like a proof of concept due to its limited nature of things. I still really liked Pikmin 1. It has everything I really liked about Pikmin 3, but in a more contained sense, you know, because it's the first game. It's weird that I'm comparing it to the third game, but it's the only game I have to refer to, so bear with me here. It was really fun trying to figure out strategies on how to collect each ship part, and it really came down to multitasking. Maybe while this one group of Pikmin grabs a part, I can go start working on getting another part, and you know, I'm not that great at multitasking, but again, this is my first time really playing the game all the way through, so there was a lot of trial and error. I had to redo some stages after losing a bunch of Pikmin, after not getting a part in time, but I never really felt that the game was unfair. Challenging? Yes. Unfair? Absolutely not. If I made a mistake, it definitely felt like my mistake, and it had nothing to do with the game presenting an unfair challenge. I remember I actually stopped playing this game when I played it back on Wii, because when I got to the 4th stage, I was really intimidated by the larger and more powerful enemies, but after figuring out how to beat them, mainly getting them from behind and, you know, upgrading your Pikmin so that their little flower above their head blooms, then it becomes much easier from there. And even though the game had a time limit of about 13 minutes per day, being 30 days, do the math, I don't really care, it still took me around 6 to 7 hours to beat. I can see myself beating the game much quicker if I played it again right now, but I have Pikmin 2 to play, and I really have no idea what to expect from Pikmin 2. I can't recall seeing any screenshots or video from that game, so I'm quite excited to see what that game has in store for me. But in the end, I liked Pikmin 1 a lot. What's preventing me from giving it a higher score was just the fact that I felt Pikmin 3 did a lot of the things that game did, but it did them better and more efficiently thanks to those quality of life improvements. But even then, I still thought Pikmin 1 has aged fairly well despite missing those quality of life changes. It was fun trying to figure out how to get a ship part that was way out of reach, not to mention extremely rewarding once you figured out time management and how to multitask properly with this army of Pikmin at your disposal. When I beat that game to 100% completion, I got all the ship parts, I felt a great sense of accomplishment. In the sense that I didn't get after beating Pikmin 3 because I didn't realize that I was about to engage in the final mission and I didn't collect that many fruits, and yep, I failed to save my planet. Oh, I am so sorry, citizens of that planet. You're gonna starve because of me. But yeah, I really liked Pikmin 1, and if you haven't played this game yet, I highly recommend you pick it up on the Switch. It's the most accessible way to play it right now. But I hope you all enjoyed my little review of Pikmin 1. Let me know if you want to see me talk about Pikmin 2. I have yet to play that game yet, and I am quite excited to finally do so. So until then, everybody, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.